you see all peoples have their virtues and all peoples have their vices. And when civilizations are strong, the virtues outweigh the vices. And when civilizations or societies that aren't necessarily, that haven't reached that type of level of sophistication that we call civilization, when their vices overwhelm their virtues, then you're in serious trouble. So in a virtuous society, most people are honest. In a virtuous society, you can leave your goods at a restaurant and you'll come back and they'll be there. In a vicious society, it's quite the opposite. People no longer feel safe or secure. One of the Mauritanian ulama asked some of the Mauritanian ulama what was the single most important thing in our religion, and they said prayer. And he said, then why does Allah say, when you feel secure, establish the prayer? Because security is you can't worship Allah if you don't feel secure. If a lion's about to eat you, you're not thinking about dhuhr. You're thinking about, how do I get out of this situation? And this is why when the Prophet ﷺ first entered to Medina, the very first khutbah that he gave, which was witnessed by a Jewish rabbi who records it, the very first thing he said after Ya Ayyuhan Nas was Afshu Salam, which is not just saying Assalamu Alaikum, but it's spread security, spread peace, spread a sense of well-being in your society so that people feel secure in their being and their property. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever wakes up, man asbaha aminan fi sirbihi, mu'afan fi badanihi. So aminan fi sirbihi is the first thing, that he feels secure in his person and property. And then he's healthy. وَلَهُ قُوتُ يَوْمِهِ. And he has enough just for that day. فَكَأَنَّهُ حِيزَةَ الدُّنْيَا بِحَذَافِرِهَا. It's as if the whole of the world was in his possession. Just those three things. And so the blessing of having a house from the houses of Allah where you feel secure to come and pray and not be aggressed upon, to have religious freedom, this is one of the great gifts. And it was hard, it was fought for very hard in these societies. Muslims were very good at religious freedom early on because of the Prophet ﷺ. He allowed the Jews to worship. He allowed the Christians to worship. He even let the Christians of Najran pray in his masjid when they came to visit him. We were told in Surah Al-Hajj that one of the reasons why we're permitted to defend ourselves is to protect not just mosques, but churches and synagogues and temples. So we're supposed to protect other people's religious freedom, not just our own. So when we're living in non-Muslim lands and these people, although these lands are so mixed now, these abodes, to use even these distinctions, because England is no longer a quote-unquote non-Muslim land. There are many Muslims living here. They're part of the government. They're part of policy making. Some are virtuously contributing to society, and unfortunately, there are some that are viciously, harming not just the society, but also the reputation of the religion. So, security is a great blessing, and when it's lost, that's all people yearn for. In fact, one of my teachers, he said the only good thing about war is that people pray for peace. Like they really, and you don't. Once you've lost something, then you know what it is. So the Prophet, he told us, "Afshu salam bainakum," and then he said, "At'imu ta'am." So now his hierarchy of needs is much better than the Western hierarchy of needs, because they put that as the base, food. But he put security at the base, and then food. And then he said, "Silul arham." Like maintain kinship bonds. And the arham, it's a beautiful thing because there's raham between all of us. We're all banu Adam. So you go, al-aqrabun awla bil ma'ruf. The closer you are, the greater the haqq. But the haqq extends all the way out, not just to Bani Adam even, but also to the animal kingdom, because the Prophet was rahma lil alameen. So we're supposed to be caretakers, not just of our own species, but also recognizing the rights that these other creatures have. We just heard a few days ago the great scholar Shaykh Abdullah al-Qadhi give the most extraordinary talk. He spent 10 years researching the camel of the Prophet, al-Qaswa. 10 years. He went to every place where Qaswa went to. He knew where Qaswa was born, in Bani Qushayr, which is where Imam al-Qushayri is. It's his tribe. So we know the tribe that al-Qaswa was born into. He was born in a place called Aflaj or Layla, because Layla and Majnun, the story is from that area. She was brought, it's a she camel. She was brought to Uqal, which was the great souk, and that's where Abu Bakr purchased her with another camel to go on the hijrah. But the Prophet demanded that he pay for his own camel. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And amazing knowledge. He worked out every single person that rode the camel. The ones that ardafahum Rasulullah, the ones that actually, the only wife that rode on the camel was Safiya. And then we even have the riwayah, when she got on the camel, the Prophet put his thigh for her to put her foot on it, but she wouldn't put her foot on his thigh. She put her thigh on his thigh out of adab to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the things, even animals love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he loved animals, the animal kingdom. We were talking about human rights. When you don't have animal rights, it's very easy when you demonize people and consider them animals, it's easy to abuse them. But when you actually treat animals well, and you encourage young children to actually treat animals as sentient beings that have rights, then it's a lot harder to harm human beings. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna Allah katab al-ihsana ala kulli shay'in fa idha dhabahtum فَأَحْسِنُوا الذِّبْحَ." Allah has decreed ihsan on everything, and he used as an example for the ihsan, the actual sacrifice of a camel, of an animal, which is one of the ugliest things we do as human beings. But he's saying even in that, so from that and everything above it, it's prescribed, kataba. In other words, Allah has prescribed it. There is an ihsan in every single thing that you do. And this is why our religion was so committed to ihsan. The Prophet ﷺ, Sayyidina Aisha radiyallahu anha, relates a hadith which is sahih, where she said, "Amara Rasulullah bi bina al masajid fi ad-dur wa an tunazzaf wa tutayyab." That the Prophet commanded masajid to be built in the neighborhoods, and that they should be cleaned, and that they should be, you should bring scent into them like bakhur. There's a famous Sahabi, the first one that brought the mibkhara into the masjid, the first one that brought lights into the masjid, and the Prophet praised these people for these things. But the mibkhara was something that traditionally they brought even on Jumu'ah. They still do it in the haram, mashallah. They bring in, because that's sunnah, so it has pleasant smells. He said, if you're eating onions or garlic, don't go near our masjids, because angels don't like it, let alone other people, right? So this is our tradition. It's just such an amazing tradition. It's a tradition of ihsan, but the masajid are great blessings. And people don't know this, a lot of people don't know this, but there were 40 masajid in Medina. So the Prophet made sure, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there were masajid in every neighborhood. And that was in order to create communities of people who pray together. Because if you come every day and you pray, you get to know, and then somebody doesn't show up, you want to find out, are they okay? Is something wrong? Do they need anything? Are they sick? This is real community. You know, everybody talks about the Muslim community, but it's almost impossible in the modern world, the way we live in these societies now, to even have community, because communities are neighborhoods. Just like families are not nuclear families. A nuclear family is already a completely disintegrated family. A family is uncles and aunts and cousins and second cousins. And That a family is an extension. It's not just the mother and the father and the children, but that now is considered such a great blessing because they've destroyed, the culture has just completely fragmented families. So all these single mothers who are raising children. So these are all, I mean, we're dealing in a very strange time, a lot of great difficulties.